But please continue.
Well, anyway, so there's actually many studies. 3 years ago, the National Research Council had a panel of 13 scientists who are experts in toxicology, epidemiology, fluoride, and chemistry, and they did a 3-year review of over 1,100 studies worldwide about the dangers of fluoride in drinking water. They didn't look specifically at fluoridation, the adding of fluoride to the drinking water. They looked at the whole issue of fluoride toxicology. And they basically determined that the EPA's maximum contaminant level of 4 parts per million is not protective of human health, and that it should be set much lower. But EPA hasn't done anything, and so the city of Austin's position is that as long as their fluoride level that they add to the water is less than this 4 parts per million level, they think it's safe. But
the British, the Russian, the Chinese studies I've seen show that it's cumulative, so that's a fraud.
Right. And also they don't take into account that there's other fluorides. There's fluoride in the food, beverages that are made with fluoridated water. There's quite a bit of it in tea. People brush their teeth with fluoride-containing toothpaste, mouthwashes. There's some pharmaceuticals that some people take that have fluoride in it. There's
Prozac.
There's fluorinated pesticides, so there could be some on the fruit.
Yeah, it's killing. And now they want to spray it. In fact, I saw that a few years ago, that a lot of the new pesticides are fluoride-based. It kills the bugs, and we sit there and eat it like fools.
Yeah, because actually what we know, so there's a lot of fluoride exposure from different sources, and so the city of Austin doesn't take into account this wide exposure that's...
Well, we know the lobbyists come in and pay them off. I mean, that's what's going on. I mean, they'll arrest you if you get caught dumping motor oil on the street, and you should be, but I'd much rather have motor oil going around than fluoride that's killing everything. I mean, fish can't live in tap water. Why are we drinking it? I mean, Doc, again, I'm no doctor, but why does a goldfish die in a matter of hours? Everybody should try this, and I don't think it's nice to be cruel to fish, but if it saves human lives, do it. In the 6th grade, you cut up frogs. I think the schools, if it's so good, ought to fill up a fish tank with fluoridated water right out of the tap there in the science lab, put a fish in it and watch it be deader than a hammer the next day, right next to clean water, say, out of a river with a fish in it. I think that, something simple like that, will finally get the message across. But the animal rights activists will say, don't kill goldfish. And whereas I don't enjoy killing goldfish, I've got one at my house that's 7 years old named Fluffy we're very attached to. If it'll save human lives, how are we going to then not hurt goldfish because it's cruel, but make everybody drink this?
Well, what the National Research Council report came out with in 2006 is that the level of fluoride being added to the water is 250 times higher than what is in breast milk. And breast milk, we know mother's milk, it's got a trace level of natural fluoride.
Because you need a trace amount.
Need a small amount.
Don't humans even need a trace amount of cyanide? But you don't want a lot of it.
Right, but the whole thing is that there's a very, very low level, and so what they're adding to the water is much higher, to 250 times higher than what is considered really safe. And actually, some of the researchers said that with babies, there is really no safe level of what's in the water.
Well, that was my next point, Doc. When I go to Babies R Us, it's all give your kids fluoride pills, buy the fluoridated water for your baby, and all the studies I've seen say it's 3 to 4 times worse for kids' brains and bones than it is for adults. So is that what you're getting at? Is it's really bad for kids?
Yes. What we know, and this was first recognized in the 1950s by researchers who were studying enzymes. And all of our cells in our body run partially on enzymes. They're part of the assembly lines that keep everything going. And fluoride poisons at least 62 enzyme systems in the human body.
Unbelievable.
62.
So it's an endocrine disruptor.
Yes, and so some of the early opposition in the 1950s to fluoridation were the biochemists researching enzymes because they knew that fluoride was a powerful poison that interfered with enzymes in the body.
Oh, and as soon as that research came out, put it in the water. The Rockefellers just so happened to be eugenicists. But I'm sure, Doc, there's nothing to do with that. We should just trust them and drink it.
Well, it is interesting that one of the fluoride compounds used in the manufacture of uranium is uranium hexafluoride. It's a catalyst. And so that was one of the ways that this kind of links back to the Manhattan Project. Uranium hexafluoride, it's got 6 fluorine atoms in it. It's been well known, but it's also very toxic. So in using this in the Manhattan Project, along with using other fluoride catalysts in the aluminum industry to smelt aluminum and to various kinds of aluminum products in the steel industry.
Got a break there. Just stay there, Doc. This is riveting stuff. Very important. Drink your uranium. Everybody knows the dice are loaded, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody knows the good guys lost.
Everybody knows that the dice are loaded. Everybody rolls with their fingers crossed. Everybody knows the war is over. Everybody knows the good guys lost.
That aired 2 years ago. We have Dr. Neil Carmen. He's a biologist and also a chemist in here with us, and he's fighting locally to expose how deadly poison fluoride is and the other varieties. You know, I'm reading on here, Doc, and it's saying what's in the stuff they put in the Austin water, and you just got a tour after months of trying of the facility. I understand some of our folks were in there as well. H2SIF6, I guess, is the formula. Hydrofluorosic acid, but then that itself, I'm told, is a bunch of different things.
Right. It's only one of the compounds. There's actually 3 forms of fluorine in there. There's the hydrofluorosilicic acid, which is the primary fluoride the city is seeking. There's also some elemental fluorine, and there's hydrofluoric acid, and then there's heavy metals, lead, cadmium, chromium, beryllium, barium, and then there could be other trace impurities. And one of the concerns I have, based upon what the EPA says about the phosphate rock in Florida, is it's known to contain radionuclides, including uranium and thorium. That's on the...
Well, that's where they mine it, is out of the...
phosphate rock.
Yeah.
There's a huge deposits of phosphate rock in Florida, and it has a lot of impurities in it. Fluorine is just one of the impurities, but there's also...
And they don't even purify this. That's what the other doctors have said, and the EPA people I've had on admit that they call it fluoride. Oh, we fluoridate, but really they just take the toxic waste of all these industries and just put it in our water.
Well, the city claimed to us that there is some kind of distillation or filtration, but they don't, they haven't supplied any documents as to what that is. I know that the company they buy it from, it basically is just kind of like a warehouse to, store the chemicals and sell them, Lucier Chemicals. But Mosaic, I don't know what they do, but it's possible that it's just basically directly sold. It's brought here in a large tanker truck. And
they declared national security. We wanted to get cameras in, and they wouldn't let us have cameras, saying national security. And I guess it is national security to give us this toxic chemical.
Well, their issue with that, Alex, is that you've got this drinking water supply for the whole city of Austin.
Somebody might put poison in it like them.
Right. So, but what's interesting is that the fluoridation storage at the water treatment plant is in it's in a totally contained building with warnings on it because of the corrosive nature of the hydrofluorosilicic acid that they store there in 2 fiberglass tanks.
Skull and crossbones.
So it's a self-contained building that cost a great deal to construct and to operate this because of the hazardous nature of this chemical that they're adding to the water.
Amazing. Now, coming in, you got to see that clip, because I know it sounds crazy when I say that the news is saying mercury's good for your brain. That was a national report, a local version of it. It was put out by CBS News as a press release. I also have a clip, in time I'm not going to play it, saying lead is good for children on MSNBC. Doctor, does that sound normal to you?
No, because basically there's different pediatricians who have done research in the U.S. on lead, and people like Dr. Phil Landrigan, who was here in Austin 2 months ago, say there is no safe level of lead exposure to.
What about mercury, though?
And mercury is also highly toxic, so...
I mean, that's vitamin M. We'll be right back in 60 seconds.